There are moments in life when silence feels heavier than noise, when waiting stretches so long that it begins to feel like a language of its own. You have spoken your prayers faithfully, sometimes boldly, sometimes with trembling hesitation, and often with nothing more than a whisper because even hope felt tired. You have waited through seasons where doors remained firmly shut, where answers did not come, and where heaven seemed intent on saying nothing at all. Yet silence, as strange as it sounds, is not the same as absence. It is often the pause before a sentence of great meaning is spoken. And it is within this pause that many forget a truth both simple and demanding. God does not delay because he is uncertain, nor does he withhold because he is unwilling. He waits because timing is part of love, and preparation is part of mercy. You see, we often imagine God's yes as something immediate, like the press of a button or the opening of a tap. But God's yes is rarely cheap, and it is never careless. It is formed in wisdom deeper than our impatience, and shaped by purposes broader than our personal comfort. When you asked for that breakthrough, that restoration, that open door, you were not merely asking for an event, you were asking for a transformation. And transformation, if it is to be lasting, requires more than enthusiasm. It requires readiness of heart, steadiness of faith, and a kind of humility that can only be learned in the waiting. The waiting, though painful, has not been empty. It has taught you how fragile your own strength truly is. It has stripped away the illusion that you are self-sufficient. It has revealed which hopes were rooted in God and which were merely attached to outcomes. There is a great difference between trusting God and trusting the picture you have painted of how he should act. Often, God waits until the picture fades before he reveals the reality, and in that fading, something essential happens. Your grip loosens, your heart softens, and your faith becomes less about control and more about surrender. Consider how many times you believed the answer would come yesterday, or last year, or at least by now. Each time, disappointment tried to whisper that perhaps the answer was no, or worse, that God had forgotten you altogether. But forgetting is not in his nature. The God who counts the hairs on your head does not lose track of your prayers. The God who calls the stars by name does not misplace your tears. Every sigh, every unspoken plea, every moment of quiet endurance has been noticed, gathered, and held with care far beyond your understanding. What you may not realize is that God's silence has been shaping you for the surprise that is coming. A long-awaited yes, when it finally arrives, carries a weight that a quick answer never could. It does not merely satisfy a desire, it reshapes the soul. You will receive it not as a spoiled child demanding a gift, but as a grateful heir who understands its value. The waiting has enlarged your capacity, deepened your gratitude, and prepared you to steward what you once only dreamed of receiving. There is also this: God's yes often comes dressed differently than we expect. We imagine it arriving with certainty, clarity, and immediate relief. Yet sometimes it comes quietly, almost modestly, asking for faith once again before it unfolds into fullness. The surprise is not only that God says yes, but that he says it in a way that invites you to trust him even more deeply. The yes is real, but it is alive, growing, and unfolding in stages, much like a seed that first breaks the soil before it ever bears fruit. You have learned, perhaps unwillingly, that faith is not proven in moments of abundance, but in seasons of delay. Anyone can praise when prayers are answered quickly, but to trust while waiting, to obey without visible reward, to hope when evidence is scarce, this is the kind of faith that moves mountains, not because it is loud, but because it is rooted. God has been cultivating this rooted faith in you, even when you thought nothing was happening at all. And let us be honest, there were days when you nearly gave up. Days when you questioned whether it was worth continuing to believe, continue to pray, continue to hope. Those days did not disqualify you, they humanized you. God was not offended by your weariness. He was not shocked by your doubts. A faith that has never wrestled is often shallow, but a faith that has wrestled and remained is strong beyond measure. The very fact that you are still here, still believing, even faintly, is evidence that God has been sustaining you all along. When the long-awaited yes comes, it will not merely answer the prayer you prayed. It will answer prayers you did not even know how to form. It will address fears you carried silently and heal wounds you assumed would always ache. God's yes has a way of reaching further than our requests, touching places in us that words never reached. And when it happens, you may look back and realize that had it come earlier, you would not have been ready to receive it without harm. There is a profound kindness in God's timing, though it often feels like cruelty while we wait. But kindness is not always comfortable. A surgeon's hand may cause pain, yet it is guided by the intent to heal. In the same way, God's delay has been guided by love, not neglect. He has been protecting you from premature answers, from blessings that would have burdened you rather than blessed you. What you are about to receive has been aligned not only with your desire, but with your destiny. The surprise of God's yes is that it often comes when you have stopped rehearsing how it should arrive. It comes when your expectations have been refined, when your heart is less demanding and more receptive. This is not coincidence, it is preparation. Often waits until the prayer becomes less about getting and more about trusting. And when that shift happens, the yes is closer than you think. Even now, as you listen or read these words, something within you may be stirring, a quiet hope, cautious yet persistent, reminding you that your story is not finished. That stirring is not self-deception, it is the echo of a promise. God has not brought you this far to abandon you in the middle. The chapter you are in may be heavy with waiting, but it is not the final chapter. There are pages ahead that you have not yet turned, pages where the answer begins to unfold. You may not see it yet, but circumstances are aligning in ways invisible to you. Conversations are being prepared, paths are being cleared, hearts, including yours, are being readied. God works in layers and depths we rarely perceive. What feels like stillness on the surface often hides great movement beneath. The long-awaited yes is not sudden in preparation, only in revelation. When it appears, it may seem as though it happened all at once, but in truth, it has been in motion for longer than you realize. There is also a humbling truth. Sometimes God waits for us to release the idea that His yes must look exactly like our plan. When we loosen our grip on specifics and cling instead to trust, we make room for something better than we imagined. God's yes does not always validate our expectations, it often transforms them. And in that transformation, we discover that what we really needed was not just the answer, but the journey that led us to it. The waiting has taught you compassion for others who wait. It has softened your judgments and deepened your understanding. These are not side effects, they are gifts. When God says yes, He often intends that the blessing flow not only to you, but through you. A heart shaped by waiting is far more capable of generosity, patience, and grace. You will carry your answered prayer differently because you know what it cost to hope. So do not despise the days that felt wasted. They were not empty, they were formative. Do not resent the nights when you prayed and heard nothing in return. They were not ignored, they were held. God has been closer than you thought, even when He felt far away. And now, the season is shifting. Not because you have finally earned the answer, but because the time is right and the purpose is ready to be revealed. The long-awaited yes will not simply change your circumstances, it will confirm something deeper. That trust was not misplaced, that hope was not foolish, and that faith, even when fragile, was worthwhile. When it arrives, you may find yourself surprised not only by what God does, but by who you have become in the process. You will notice a steadiness where there was once anxiety, a gratitude where there was once desperation, and a quiet confidence rooted not in outcomes but in God's character. And as this yes begins to unfold, you will still be walking by faith. Answers do not eliminate the need for trust, they deepen it. Each step forward will invite you to rely on God anew, to continue listening, continuing obeying, continuing believing. The journey does not end with the yes, it enters a new and richer chapter. A chapter where responsibility meets blessing and faith meets fulfillment. You may feel unprepared, wondering if you truly are ready for what you once asked for so fervently. That uncertainty is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of reverence. It means you understand that God's gifts are sacred, not casual. And the same God who prepared the answer has been preparing you, even in ways you did not recognize at the time. You are more ready than you think. Not because you are perfect, but because you are teachable, humbled, and anchored in trust. So remain attentive. Remain faithful in small things. Do not rush ahead of God, but do not shrink back in fear either. The yes is approaching not as a reward for flawless faith, but as a testament to God's faithfulness. And when it begins to show itself, perhaps subtly at first, perhaps in ways that require discernment, receive it with open hands rather than clenched fists. Let gratitude, not entitlement, be your response. For there is something profoundly beautiful about a long-awaited yes. It carries history within it. It speaks not only to the future but redeems the past. It whispers that every tear had meaning, every delay had purpose, and every moment of waiting was part of a greater saint. Ori still unfolding. And as you stand on the edge of this unfolding, you may sense that God is inviting you once more into trust, into patience, into wonder, because what is coming will require you to walk forward with the same faith that sustained you while you waited, the same quiet courage that carried you through uncertainty, and the same hope that refused to die even when answers seemed impossibly distant. As the path ahead begins to open in ways you did not expect, and your heart learns again how to listen, how to respond, and how to move forward without needing to see the entire road laid out before you, trusting that each step will be revealed in time as God continues to work, not hurried, not late, but perfectly attentive to every detail of your life, your calling, and the promise that has been forming long before you realized how close you truly were. In this closeness there is a quiet tension, like the hush before dawn when night has not yet released its grip, but light is already certain. You may feel that tension now, an awareness that something is changing even if you cannot yet name it. This awareness is not anxiety, though it may resemble it at times. It is anticipation shaped by faith. God often allows us to sense the nearness of His work before we see the substance of it, not to torment us, but to prepare our hearts to recognize it when it arrives. You have lived long enough to know that the most significant moments rarely announce themselves with spectacle. They come softly, almost unnoticed, and only later do we realize how much has shifted. God's yes is often like that. It does not always thunder from the heavens. Sometimes it enters through a conversation, an opportunity, a renewed strength you did not expect to have, or a peace that settles where turmoil once lived. Surprise lies not in the volume of the moment, but in its depth. There were times when you believed the delay meant rejection. You searched your past for mistakes, wondering if you had failed some hidden test or missed some crucial step. But grace does not operate on a system of earned approval. God's yes is not a reward for perfection, it is an expression of love, guided by wisdom. The waiting was never about disqualifying you, it was about aligning you. Alignment often feels like resistance because it presses us into a shape we did not choose, but that shape is precisely what allows us to carry what is coming. In the waiting, God has been gently teaching you to listen differently. Early on, you may have listened only for answers that matched your desires. Now your listening has deepened. You have learned to recognize God's voice, not just in outcomes, but in character. You have learned that obedience is not a transaction, and faith is not leverage. They are relationship. And relationship by its very nature unfolds in time. You may have noticed that your prayers have changed. They have become less frantic, less demanding. There is still longing in them, but there is also reverence. This change did not happen overnight. It was formed through disappointment, through hope deferred, through moments when all you could do was say, "I trust you," even when you did not fully understand what that trust required. That quiet trust has been precious in God's sight. It has been shaping the way He will answer you. The long-awaited yes carries with it responsibility, and God, in His kindness, does not hand responsibility to an unprepared heart. He has been strengthening your discernment, teaching you when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to remain silent. These lessons were not separate from your prayer. They were part of the answer itself. What is coming will require wisdom as much as faith, and wisdom is rarely rushed. There is also healing woven into the waiting, healing you may not have recognized at first. Old wounds that once reacted sharply have begun to lose their power. Triggers that once overwhelmed you now meet a steadier response. This is not accidental. God often heals us alongside the delay, so that when the yes arrives, it does not reopen old wounds or amplify unresolved pain. He wants the blessing to be received in wholeness, not in fragments. You may wonder why God allows the waiting to stretch so far that hope feels risky. But hope that costs nothing rarely transforms anything. The risk you took by continuing to hope has expanded your soul. It has made room for a deeper joy than you could have known. Otherwise, joy born quickly can be shallow, but joy forged through endurance carries weight and resilience. This joy will matter in the days ahead. As the yes approaches, you may notice subtle invitations from God to step forward before everything is clear. He may ask you to act in faith on partial information, to prepare for something that has not yet fully arrived. This is not cruelty, it is collaboration. God invites us to participate in the unfolding of His answers. Faith does not merely wait with folded hands, it waits with a readiness to move when prompted. Do not underestimate the significance of the small obediences you are being asked to make now. They are not distractions from the promise, they are pathways toward it. Often, the yes we are waiting for is connected to faithfulness in ordinary moments. God delights in weaving the extraordinary through the ordinary, reminding us that no moment surrendered to Him is insignificant. There may also be fear surfacing alongside hope, fear of disappointment, fear of change, fear of responsibility. These fears do not negate your faith, they reveal the magnitude of what is at stake. God is not threatened by your fear. He meets it with patience, offering reassurance, not by removing the unknown, but by reminding you of His presence within it. You will not walk into the yes alone. The surprising thing about God's yes is that it often brings both fulfillment and new stretching. It answers one prayer while inviting new questio. NS. This is not instability, it is growth. Life with God is not static. Each answer leads us into deeper trust, deeper surrender, deeper partnership. The yes is not an ending, it is a continuation on a richer plane of faith. You may find yourself looking back at the version of yourself who first prayed this prayer, almost as if you are looking at another person. That earlier version did not know what you know now. They had not yet learned how to endure, how to release control, how to trust without guarantees. God has honored that growth. The answer you are about to receive is not meant for who you were then, it is meant for who you have become. There is a humility that comes from waiting this long, a recognition that life does not bend to our timelines. This humility will protect you from pride when the yes arrives. You will remember how fragile you felt, how dependent you were on grace. This memory will keep you grounded, grateful, and attentive to God's continued guidance. God's yes may also challenge some of your assumptions about success. You may have equated the answer with ease, but you are learning that blessing does not always simplify life. Sometimes it deepens it. Depth brings complexity, responsibility, and the need for continued discernment. Yet it also brings meaning, purpose, and a sense of alignment that superficial ease never could. As you move closer to the answer, you may feel an urge to rush, to force clarity, to demand certainty. Resist that urge. God's timing is not arbitrary. What unfolds gradually often lasts longer and bears more fruit. Trust the pace, even when your emotions urge you to hurry. Patience is not passivity, it is active trust in God's wisdom. There is a sacred mystery in the way God orchestrates answers. He works not only within you, but around you, through people, circumstances, and events you cannot control. Some of the delays you experienced were not about you at all, but about others needing time to grow, heal, or choose rightly. God's yes often requires multiple lives to align, and He is patient with every one of them. You are standing, whether you realize it or not, at the intersection of promise and fulfillment. This intersection is often marked by uncertainty rather than clarity. Faith is required not because God is distant, but because He is inviting you deeper. Deeper trust, deeper listening, deeper dependence. These are the qualities that sustain answered prayers over time. Do not measure the nearness of God's yes by the absence of struggle. Often, struggle intensifies before breakthrough, not as punishment, but as preparation. Muscles grow under resistance, not comfort. Faith grows in the same way. The resistance you feel now is shaping strength you will need later. You may be tempted to compare your journey with others who seem to receive answers more quickly. Comparison, however, is a thief of peace. God does not run a factory of identical outcomes. He crafts stories. Your story required this length of waiting because it required this depth of formation. What He is doing in you cannot be rushed without losing something essential. The long-awaited yes will carry with it a sense of rightness, even if it does not match every expectation. There will be an inner confirmation, a quiet recognition that this moment belongs here, now. That recognition is the fruit of all the waiting. It is the assurance that God has been faithful, even when His faithfulness was difficult to see. As you remain attentive, you may notice that God is inviting you to let go of lingering bitterness. Bitterness is understandable after long waiting, but it is also heavy. God does not want you to carry unnecessary weight into the next season. Release does not mean forgetting the pain. It means refusing to let it define what comes next. Forgiveness, toward yourself and others, clears space for joy. Joy may feel unfamiliar after so much endurance. You may approach it cautiously, almost suspiciously. This is normal. God is gentle with this transition. He does not demand immediate celebration. He invites it gradually. Allow yourself to receive joy without fear. It is not a trick. It is not temporary relief. It is a gift meant to strengthen you for what lies ahead. There is also a call to courage embedded in God's yes. Courage not just to receive, but to act. To step into opportunities that require faith. To speak words that carry weight. To live in alignment with the blessing you have been given. God's answers are not ornaments, they are tools for purpose. And purpose always requires courage. You may still have moments of doubt, even as the answer begins to emerge. Doubt does not invalidate the yes. It simply reminds you that faith remains a daily choice. God does not withdraw His gifts because of momentary uncertainty. He meets you there, steady and patient, inviting you to continue walking forward. As you continue in this season, remember that God's presence does not fluctuate with your confidence. He is not more present when you feel strong or less present when you feel unsure. His faithfulness is constant, anchoring you through every emotional shift. This constancy is what allows you to keep moving, even when clarity comes slowly. You are being invited into a deeper partnership with God, one where trust is not based on immediate evidence, but on relationship refined over time. This partnership will shape how you respond to future waiting, future questions, future prayers. The memory of this long-awaited yes will become a testimony not only of God's provision, but of His patience and care. And as the unfolding continues, as you remain attentive and open, there will be moments when you sense that you are being asked once again to trust without seeing the full picture, to step forward even as the edges remain undefined, to believe that the same God who sustained you through silence will guide you through fulfillment, leading you onward as the next part of the story quietly begins to take shape, inviting you to walk forward with humility, courage, and a listening heart, aware that what you are stepping into carries both promise and mystery, and that the journey itself is still unfolding. With that awareness growing steadily, you may begin to notice how your inner posture has changed. Where once you leaned forward anxiously, straining to see what would happen next, now there is a quieter stance. an ability to stand where you are without panic. This does not mean the longing has disappeared. It means the longing has learned patience. Patience is not the absence of desire, but the discipline of trusting God with its fulfillment. That discipline has been forming in you, often without your consent, yet always for your good. There is a subtle strength that emerges from long obedience in the same direction. It is not dramatic, and it does not draw attention to itself, but it endures. You have been walking this road longer than you expected, and in doing so, you have discovered a resilience you did not know you possessed. This resilience will matter greatly in what is coming, because God's yes will ask you to remain faithful, not only when things improve, but when new challenges arise alongside the blessing. You may find that people around you do not fully understand the weight of what this yes means to you. They see the outcome, but they did not walk the road of waiting. That is all right. Some experiences are meant to deepen you than to be explained. God knows the full measure of what you carried, and His affirmation is enough. The validation you need most does not come from others recognizing your endurance, but from knowing that God has seen and honored it. As the days move forward, there may still be moments when the old fear resurfaces, whispering that the answer could slip away, or that you might somehow lose what you have waited for. These fears are echoes of the past, not prophecies of the future. God does not give gifts with the intention of snatching them back. What He gives, He sustains. What He begins, He completes. Your role is not to guard the blessing with anxiety, but to steward it with trust. Stewardship requires attentiveness. It asks you to remain prayerful even after the prayer has been answered, to remain dependent even after relief has come. This may feel counterintuitive, but it is essential. The habits of faith you developed in the waiting are not meant to be discarded. They are meant to carry you forward. Gratitude, humility, and daily reliance will keep the blessing aligned with its purpose. There is also an invitation to gentleness toward yourself and others. After long seasons of strain, it can be tempting to become rigid, to brace yourself as if the world will always demand endurance at the same intensity. But God does not call you to hardness. He calls you to strength paired with tenderness. Allow yourself to rest where rest is offered. Allow joy to feel natural agai. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of healing. You may notice that your perspective on time has shifted. Waiting has taught you that delays are not wasted and answers are not hurried. This new perspective will help you navigate future uncertainties with greater peace. You will remember that God's silence was never empty and His movement was never absent. This memory will anchor you when new questions arise. As you walk into what God is unfolding, there will be choices to make, some small, some significant. Not every choice will feel obvious. Continue to listen, not just for what is expedient, but for what aligns with God's character. Alignment brings a quiet confidence that external success cannot replace. When choices are guided by alignment, even difficult paths carry a sense of peace. You may also find that God's yes creates space for you to become a source of encouragement to others who are still waiting. Your words will carry authenticity because they are born of experience rather than theory. Be generous with that encouragement, not as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who understands the weight of unanswered prayer. Your presence alone may be enough to remind someone else that waiting is not the same as being forgotten. There will be moments when you look back and marvel at how close you came to giving up. This reflection is not meant to shame you, but to highlight grace. Grace sustained you when your own strength faltered. Grace kept the ember of faith alive when circumstances threatened to extinguish it. This awareness will deepen your gratitude and soften your heart. As the unfolding continues, remember that God's guidance is often progressive. He reveals what you need to know when you need to know it. Demanding full clarity ahead of time would require sight rather than faith. And faith remains the currency of relationship with God. Trust that what is hidden now will be revealed in due season. You may sense that your capacity to trust has expanded. What once felt risky now feels possible. This expanded capacity is one of the quiet gifts of waiting. It allows you to say yes to God with greater freedom, knowing that even if the path is uncertain, His faithfulness is not. Do not be surprised if the yes invites you into deeper service, deeper responsibility, or deeper love. God's blessings are rarely self-contained. They are meant to overflow. Allow that overflow to happen naturally without striving. Let it be an expression of gratitude rather than obligation. There is a humility in recognizing that even now, you still need God as much as you did before the answer came, perhaps even more so. Dependence does not diminish with blessing, it becomes more conscious. Stay close to the source. Stay attentive to the voice that guided you through silence. As days turn into weeks and weeks into months, the initial surprise of the yes may settle into normalcy. This is not a loss, it is integration. The answer becomes part of your life rather than an event separate from it. Integration allows the blessing to shape you steadily, rather than overwhelm you suddenly. You are still learning how to live in this new space, and that is all right. Growth is not instantaneous. Be patient with yourself as you adjust. God is patient with you. He does not rush your learning or demand flawless navigation of what He has given. And as you continue forward, attentive yet trusting, grounded yet open, there will be new moments that require the same quiet courage you practiced in waiting. Moments where you will once again choose trust over fear, obedience over ease, faith over certainty, stepping forward with the knowledge that the same God who surprised you with a long-awaited yes is still with you, still guiding you, still unfolding His purposes gently and faithfully, inviting you to keep walking, one step at a time, into all that remains ahead. As you stand now at this point in your journey, looking back on the long road of waiting and forward toward what God has begun to unfold, let your heart rest in this unshakable truth. The same God who carried you through silence will sustain you through fulfillment. Nothing was wasted, nothing was overlooked, and nothing came late. Every delay shaped you, every unanswered prayer strengthened you, and every quiet moment drew you closer to the one who knew exactly when to say yes. Walk forward without fear, not because the path is finally easy, but because you are no longer walking alone or unprepared. Let gratitude steady your steps, humility guard your heart, and faith remain your constant companion. The long-awaited yes is not the end of your story, but the beginning of a deeper one where trust matures into confidence, hope blossoms into purpose, and your life becomes a living testimony that God's timing is always faithful, always loving, and always worth the wait.